With Election Day just 3 weeks behind us, some in Maine already have their eyes set on the next one.
News Center Maine's Alex Haskell spoke to those behind an effort now to put a voter ID law on next year's ballot.
Maine has strong elections, but there are different ways we can strengthen them even further.
State Representative Laurel Libby of Auburn says one way to do that is to require Maine voters to show a photo ID when voting.
You know, over the last decade, we've seen the legislature fail time and time again to pass this law. But we saw on Election Day over 125,000 people signed to help put voter ID on the ballot in Maine.
A sign to Libby that Maine has an appetite for this kind of law. The conservative grassroots organization, The Dinner Table, which Libby co-founded, is behind this citizen initiative, which says it has enough signatures to appear on next year's ballot.
Currently, Maine has a requirement for proof of identity and proof of residency to be shown at the point of voter registration.
This law would build on that. In addition to requiring a voter show their photo ID at the polls, absentee voters would need to send a copy of their ID along with their ballot, or put their ID number on a form that's sent in with the ballot. Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bello says states with similar laws often see long lines to vote and some voters turned away.
Even if they were valid citizens and duly registered, perhaps their license has expired.
The Maine ACLU is also speaking out, saying the law would impact certain people more than others.
Some people use absentee ballots from election to election, typically older voters, people with disabilities. This is going to make it harder for all of them to vote.
Libby says the most common concern she's heard is someone might not be able to afford an ID, which this law would cover at no charge to the individual.
We should strengthen our elections in every way that we can.
If the law makes next year's ballot, Mainers will decide whether the changes are the right step toward election security or an unnecessary barrier. In Auburn, Alex Haskell, News Center, Maine.
Libby says the signatures they've collected still do need to be reviewed and certified. We also want to note a spokesperson for the Secretary of State's office says there have been no reports of illegal voting in the state.